Very cool. Well, so the big thing today I thought would be fun is just so this is more of a kind of a mastermind hackathon rather than like a lecture series. I think right now we're still in the let's discover the possibilities phase rather than a like here's like the 20-minute slide deck of how you should do this. I'll probably do that eventually. Maybe I'll have kind of like if you haven't set up OpenClaw, if you haven't done anything with it, here's kind of a getting started guide. But this is a little bit more beyond that. This is like we've already installed it. Let's talk about the cool, fun things we're doing with it. It is fun and exciting. So I know Iatho. Sorry if I'm saying that name your name wrong.
Now, how's it going?
Good to see you. I think we met at you're in Southern California, right?
No, I'm in Colorado, but we've met, I don't know, probably a few times here and there across the
I remember
years. So,
I sat next to you at lunch with Athena back in right before I left for my big trip abroad. That was back in
yep,
2018.
that sounds right. Yeah.
Yeah,
We've
fun. And
probably
I saw
bumped
you.
into each other since then too. So,
I saw in the chat you're using it quite a bit, right? OpenClaw.
I'm super excited about it. But there's a lot to it. I'm so excited about the possibilities, and I started building some kind of some personalities or agents to be like, hey, here's your job, and but then we ran into memory issues of like next time I asked it like, hey, go do this, it had amnesia, and so I kind of went back to the drawing board, asked Gemini, hey, what do I do? And it's like, oh yeah, the amnesia problem, and basically I need to create a like a record, like a historian to record all the history of everything so that it keeps building the memories, and I've got to train the bots better, be very granular and kind of I think that's I see so much capability, but I see that you've really got to um, set up the training and the kind of the structure correctly. Like it's really fun to mess with, but to get it useful, repetitive, super powerful, but you come back the next day if it's not using the same API, like same LLM that you originally programmed it with, you're going to have problems. Um, but
Yeah, that's an interesting one. That's memory management is dude, I feel like all these things are going to get fixed. Like when
yeah,
the things we're complaining about in February, everyone's going to be joking about how we were complaining. In May, everyone's going to be joking about. Remember back in February, like this was an
yeah,
issue.
exactly.
So what I've found that's worked well so far, is first you want to structure, and I'm going to say this for like the broad audience. So you might already know a lot of stuff, but I'll say it for
Yeah,
broad
yeah.
audience. So everything inside of OpenClaw, inside of the Claude bot, is managed through Markdown files, and there's a set of really special Markdown files that set what the intent and then the use case of the bot. Okay,
Hmm.
so here are the most important files. So that there is a soul file, right? Soul.md, which is what that's telling the bot its own personality. My soul file, for example, says like I don't want you to be sycophantic, which is like agreeable yes man. We're not yes people or bots are not yes bots. We want to like challenge and talk like a real person and give pushback where pushback is needed. That's part of the soul. I like to snark too. I don't want it to sound like a corporate, drone. I want it to have a little bit of snark. I find just personally like it better that way. And also a big thing I add in there is anytime I ask you to jump 5 feet, don't question it, jump 6 feet. And there's
Hmm.
something about that, like you have high agency, do more than you're asked of. That seems to work really well. And again, that's where it gets a little dangerous because I'll say like organize my folder, and then I might start to deleting things.
Yeah, you're the overachiever.
Exactly. And then there's also a memory file. So it's called memory.md. And that memory file is kind of its long-term memory. And you can go in there and like edit it yourself. It's in
Hmm.
Markdown, so it's in like a very usable, human readable language. And also a big thing I always say is like remember I'll say remember this. Like, hey, we just set up this thing, especially when it's particularly when it forgets. Like it kept forgetting that it has command line access to my to Gmail. And I'm like, you have Gmail. Like it's like, I don't have an
Same.
email. I'm like, use freaking email. I said, remember this, put it into your memory, and then it works much better when you kind of
Mhm.
tell it to remember.
Yeah, I got to the same point of I connected it through Matan, which seems to be a great free connector, but I'd asked it to do the same thing next time, and it's like, I don't know how to do that. I could, build an OAuth, script in Python and do it all. And so yeah, we're working on the memory. Also, the biggest thing I would have to say for anybody starting out is I was using what Sonnet, I don't know, the most expensive model basically, Sonnet 4.6. Um, super great, like super capable, but then it was costing me about 25 bucks a day just to run the heartbeat. And so I had it install a small LLM and run the heartbeat to that so that we quit draining money basically. So that's been kind of nice to be able to leave it on and not worry about the cost of it as much.
Yeah, and Heartbeat for others who don't know, it's kind of like a system that it's a routine that just goes periodically based on a certain clock time, right? So you say every 10 minutes, every hour, once a day, and it'll put it into a heartbeat file. So what are some use cases you're using it for?
Well, the one thing I said, hey, you work at my warehouse. You're the shipping receiving person. And when I send you an email with basically something we just ordered, take that, take these, components that we ordered, put them in this spreadsheet, um, nice and neat, basically put any tracking info in there. I'd like to go back and say, hey, look for the tracking every morning. I'm not there yet, but once we put the stuff in the spreadsheet, then Slack this channel so that everybody knows these have been ordered, basically. And so that's kind of the one, it's like the first step. I ran it the first time and it was awesome. It was, thing is, I ran it on Sonnet 4.6 and everything ran great. It probably cost me 10 bucks to run it, but it was amazing. I got super excited. And then I was like, okay, this is costing too much. Let's, pare back things, make things cheaper. And then it got, we had memory problems. And so the capability is definitely there, but I've got to kind of re-engineer it so that we can pile
Love
on a
it.
bunch of stuff.
There's two other things I've found that work well with the memory stuff. One I've heard of, I've not actually used it. Obsidian is an app that
Yeah.
is a lot, everyone kind of on the YouTube
I
sphere
just downloaded it. I'm
is
like, how do I
really
use it?
liking. Yeah, really liking a lot Obsidian. It's free, or I think it's open
It is,
source or
it's
whatever.
free, but you have to pay to connect it to um, sync to multiple devices. But yeah, it's a free program.
Uh, and then another one I really am finding useful, and it kind of depends on what you're using it for, right? But one use case I found really useful is I use Telegram, the messaging app,
Yep.
and I create groups. So I'll just have a group, and I'll say like, for example, I have an idea journal, right? Business idea journal, and
Mm.
I invite my boss name is Tom, right? So I'll invite me and Tom into this group, and it's just us two. But that group is called Tom Business Ideas, and then all the context in that thing, it uses that in its memory. So obviously it still uses its soul file and its memory file and all that kind of the heartbeat and everything. So it has all that
Mm.
in the context, but also has that thread of that group in Telegram. So then I'll say, hey, here's one for idea journal. So you every single time I have an idea, help me flesh out my idea and then save it in my idea journal. And then a different one I have like help me build this little coding app. help me figure out marketing research, help me do this with product development, and like those are all different Telegram groups, and I found that works really well to kind of manage its memory. It's
Hmm.
more of a chat bot style though, instead of a like a
Yeah.
bot.
Okay.
So how are you
That's cool.
having it not send the entire context window back in through your LLM and then run out of credits in like 10 seconds? This is one of the things I've been running into where it's like the contact window through Telegram and through your chat is enormous and it doesn't need to be. So I've been researching best practices. Has anybody else been seeing like how to optimize? There's one guy who's on YouTube who's like, I figured out how to do it. So I reduced 95% by segregating and all that. Have you figured
Hmm.
that out?
I I signed up for some guy's stuff and got his folder and basically told my bot to implement it. And so I can share that probably
Yeah,
in the group
please.
here.
This is what
I'll,
we need is a repository where we're just like, look, this seems to be a good way it's working, and here's kind of a different ways of setting this up. I wish we had like a group consensus configuration file that's like, here's a good way to update things or something, man. It would be so great.
Well, let's
yeah.
I'll give you you have comment access to that SOP that I wrote. If you want, you can just put in why don't we want that I could just do, Google Doc would be an easy one, and then I'll just if anybody wants a comment in there, anything they've added or whatever, I can just then approve it if I'll be the gatekeeper on approving it.
Actually, Andy, talking about memory, I should have bookmarked it. I'm gonna have to find the guy. He did a couple of videos on YouTube. There was one where he linked OpenClaw's memory to Google's Notebook LM to save all its data there, and it was receiving it back free. And another one he used something called Pinecone. I think it's pinecone.io. It's some kind of vector database, and he used that as OpenClaw's memory. They have a free option as well, but I need to find the video again to watch exactly what he did. But he seemed to think it really solved the memory problem.
I've used Pinecone. Supabase does similar things too, and this called they call it vectorized memory. And I've used it again. This all these things are kind of like they're working. There's not quite a perfect solution. AJ, I saw your hands up. Go ahead.
So there's a few different points. Are you able to hear me?
Yes.
So, back on Claude costing tons of token. Claude is expensive. I ran into that too. If you want your server managed right and you want it done fast, Claude is great, but it will run you out of money like none other. I've had good luck with DeepSeek version 3.2 and then the new Minimax M2.5. I use OpenRouter. So if you're not familiar with OpenRouter, it allows you to use pretty much any LLM you want, any model you want. You just have to pay a small fee to OpenRouter for this, and then your LLMs can configure themselves. So when I'm in my session, you go to /model. You can choose any of the DeepSeek models, switch between them, use them in between sessions, set it up however you want. The convenience factor is extremely nice there. And then when you have your default model set to something like DeepSeek, that's like 20 cents per 100 million input tokens or whatever, your heartbeats and your management costs go down substantially. I think yesterday I spent $5 running my OpenClaw server, which was a fifth or a tenth the cost of running it on Claude. So using these other models do work well. Just be careful. Some models are as dumb as a brick. Some models are highly specialized, such as a coding model. So you'll want to try them and see how they work for you before you execute them completely in your develop or in your across all your agents. And even that being said, most of my agents are set to different models so that they can specialize in whatever they were set up to handle. So Scout is set up on, I think, Gemini because his job is to do research. Our Codex is set up on Quim, I believe, because his specialty is coding. So that's another set of procedure that you'll want to consider when choosing models. Um, Another tip I have is I've used OpenClaw to configure other servers. So if I don't feel like setting up OpenClaw on a different server, I'll give my current OpenClaw the SSH credentials and tell it to go set itself up on a different server. And that has worked pretty good, really. Especially if I'm working.
Really?
Yeah, it has. Well, especially if I use Claude as the agent, it gets it done very fast, and it's usually well configured. So,
And how wait, sorry, so you like here's your I set up I authorize I enabled a server. Here's the keys to that server. Why would you have it copy itself over? Or just configure it so it works better and then copy
you
yourself into it?
just configure it so I have, say, one OpenClaw instance running on Hostlinger for my company. I wanted a personal one that I could have on Telegram for my phone, so I just said, go set this up on Oracle Cloud and install OpenClaw and wait for further instructions, and that's what I did. So.
Love it. And that's a new personality then. It has its own soul file, its own memory, or are you just copying it over?
You could do both. Yesterday I had issues with Nexus, which was one of my sub agents, and I just got frustrated. And I told my main agent, execute Nexus and replace him with a clone of yourself. Just like that, done. Now Nexus operates way better and does what he's told. So
I
Did
just did the same thing. Yeah, I just committed an assassination of like 8 different agents. I was
Yeah,
like, bad,
I killed
dead.
a few too. I had a really weird bug on WhatsApp. One friend in particular is a conspiracy nut, and he will send me every conspiracy video under the sun, no matter how tinfoil they are. Every time, OpenClaw would send him an invite and a pairing request. And
Super
then also,
annoying.
yeah, and one of my clients emailed me a question and OpenClaw sent them a pairing request, which obviously they couldn't pair because I wouldn't authorize it. But then OpenClaw denied that it was sending them, and I took screenshots from WhatsApp and said, "Look, here you go. You have sent this pairing request." It was adamant it hadn't, but obviously it had. So I had to kill those, and I'm gonna swap it over to Telegram tomorrow and not let
That
go
was
of the
my
issue.
first. As soon as I installed, I ran into that. I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to turn it off. And I just abandoned WhatsApp and went to Telegram. But the cool part with most anybody kind of just starting, the cool part with anything we've talked about so far, after you have your API going, like you can just have Claw say, hey, we're spending too much money. What do we do? We're not smart enough. What do we do? Like it can tell it as if it's a person and it will figure out how to solve it. And it's that's the one of the amazing parts of it, I think.
Love it. Alex, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just something I was might be useful for everybody. I have it installed on the computer here behind me, and I have that computer plugged into the wall through a Deco a or Deco plug that I can control from my phone. So if the AI is doing something funky and you can't get it to stop through Telegram, I literally just go and turn off the power to the computer
Love it.
through my it's a Tapo plug, TP link. So just a simple way, that I read that lady who was working for Meta or whoever it was, and it was going and deleting all her emails, and she had to run back to get to her Mac Mini. Well, just plug your Mac Mini into a smart plug, and you've got the keys to the kingdom. Basically, you can just turn it off.
I'm pretty sure
Until
that's
it
what our
until it
entire
accesses the
universe
smart plug.
is, right? That's what our whole universe is. This is a simulation, and there's probably a plug, where like, well, let's see if this works out for creating life. Nah, nope, no, we have.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
so you could you connect your. I mean, that's why I installed it on a laptop because I can push
yeah,
the off button, right? I
yeah.
feel like
But
I'm
I just have
an
the smart
alternate
plug plugged
dimension.
in. It's on my iMac behind me. So literally, you just go into Tapo and you go turn it off, and it's dead. So, just another layer of security, but it would be one that just solves, like, at one stage it just kept on sending me Telegram messages. I couldn't get it to stop, and so I just turned it off.
So you don't think this is like a simulation step? I guess the reason why I was making that joke is that it actually would make sense if there was one step is like, okay, simulate what's about to happen. Show me what this is about to do. And then I'll come back and say, yeah, let's do that. It seems to be kind of interesting as a
Yeah.
concept.
Yeah. Well, anyway, as a backup, in case anything goes wrong, rather than having to run back and unplug your Mac Mini, just have it plugged into a smart plug. Works a treat.
Well,
Yeah,
that's
make a
that's great.
backup.
I keep this here. I don't know if you can. There you go.
That works
So
too.
so question, since you're running on a Mac Mini, which I'm in the works of setting up, but my VPS on Hostinger, it can't access, it can't, open up a Chrome and do stuff. Are you able to be pretty capable with being on the Mac Mini and letting it open a Chrome session and kind of browse for things, do tasks?
Yeah, so it's on my old iMac that I don't use anymore. I bought a new MacBook Pro, but so I didn't buy anything. I just have it on an old computer, and I set it up with its own email, its own everything. It's not linked to my network. It's on a sub network, and so it can't actually see what's on my local network. So it's completely sandboxed away from everything, and it doesn't have any login to any of my personal files or anything like that. So I'm able to control to a very fine detail what it has access to.
Gotcha. But have you like installed Chrome on that and let it use
Yep.
Chrome to like, hey, go find something and
Yeah.
kind
Yeah.
of log into a website and order a product if needed, or
No, I haven't done that, but I've been using it to build some software to
yeah.
try it out. And first is running a Ralph loop and then running it just through Claude Code myself, just to test out, all of the one-shotting and stuff like that. And so it was using the its ability to go into Chrome and test and debug itself with the software it's creating and things like that, which was interesting to watch. Um, but it has its own email address but it has no contacts. It has nothing else. And it
Yeah.
only has connection to me in Telegram. So I've let it do all of that, and it's fine. But since I don't have, I haven't fixed it since there's no access to Claude with it now at the moment. So I'm about a week out of actually using it. I need to get back, and that's when I saw Andrew share this. I said I'd jump on and just hear what everybody else is doing right now, what
Mhm.
model they're using it with it currently.
Awesome.
Would if you use something like Zapier, because you can use that obviously to connect to Gmail, would that connect to Chrome and maybe do it fairly easily and safely?
Wait, tell me what you're trying to do in the first place. You just want to give it access to Chrome. You want to do it sort of a back through API methodology. What's your goal?
For me, my goal is to say, go order supplies from this Shopify website.
So
So
I,
you can do a headless browser where it has access to so you can just use the internet as if it were
mhm.
not a real browser. I also set up a VNC on my bot, and so there's a website I can go to that is a desktop. It's just it's on Hostinger.
Yep.
So there's a desktop view, so it actually has like a UI interface too. And what I found is that when it's using a real a UI browser, right?
Mm.
It'll get stuck on captchas, or sometimes it's stupid and it'll get stuck on like a pop-up pops up and like it really
Yeah.
freaks it out. But then I can have a VNC like here on my external monitor and just like click the captcha for it,
Gotcha. Okay.
right?
Help it out and yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
AJ, go ahead. It looks like you have a good answer for us.
I was just gonna say I can't remember what it's called. I think it's called X Server is the graphical interface in Linux, but you can SSH a tunnel into your server and then port the X Server user interface onto your local browser. So when you go to localhost, or actually you don't go to localhost, it pulls up its own window inside your terminal, which shows your desktop. So that way you don't have to expose any ports. It's all being tunneled and encrypted through SSH, and it's only on when you want it on.
Hmm.
that's why I put it on a laptop because I don't want to have to put the 30,000 mile long HDMI cable into a server somewhere because I want to be able to see exactly what's going on right now. And this is kind of why I'm like, if there's anybody on this call that's like, I kind of want to get into this and I really understand it and I don't want to have to code too much. I actually think your first step is just to go to your local computer store and buy a dusty laptop or whatever and just try it. Try not to think about it too much. Just like give it some access and see if you can work through it. And then you know what questions to ask because the I don't know what I don't know problem is huge right now. Right. And then this is groups like this are super duper valuable. But what the specific question I had is like, okay, so related to optimizations, like I think what Andrew's doing is awesome about creating kind of like this SOP, and it probably has these branches on best practices for different types of setups and stuff. It's like, has anyone else run into an issue where like you're telling it to go ahead and because I the first agent I built was a scraper because I wanted to go through and look at my own listings from both the front end and compare it to the back end of a listing, right? Because Amazon has this problem right now of like this is what it says is you have, and this is what computers are actually what the users are actually looking. So I wanted to grab both sides, create a file, and then compare it, right? Which is like an audit, like an internal audit kind of thing. And it's like, oh sure, well first open up what's it called? Relay or I forget what it's called. The little app thing that looks like a diamond. Yeah, Relay. Just click the button on Relay so that I can have access to your browser. I'm like, but you have your own internal browser. Why don't you use it? Just use it. And they're like, oh, well, that's a different user. So I'm a little bit confused. I'm like, what the hell? Like, so when I open Chrome, it uses my user somehow, but it has its own user. Can someone explain that? Because I'm still super confused.
Yeah, from what I know, Chrome does have different users. So every time you have a Chrome window or a Chrome installation, it's a specific user. And when you use
Oh,
incognito, it removes that user or obfuscates that user. So there's not a user. Why OpenClaw would care, I don't know. Unless you're trying to log into something. Sometimes there's browser cookies and login cookies that it needs to get from your browser in order to access something. And sometimes when there's robot text that specifically block bots, I suspect it wants to use your user to appear to be a person so that it doesn't get blocked as a bot. That's what I suspect, but that's just all conjecture at this point.
Actually, I saw some video on YouTube that said if some of the big companies recognize, say, hosting as a kind of address, you know that it's an agent and a bot and probably block it. Whereas if you do use it on like a Mac Mini, it'll probably recognize it as a home IP address instead. I don't know if that's actually true or not.
Yeah, there's a lot of, I mean, bots, bots have been around a long time before OpenClaw, right? And so they're basically when
yeah,
the internet was invented, it was bots,
bots were there.
bots were there. So there's a lot of companies who don't like bots. And particularly Amazon hates any type of scraping bot ever, right?
Oh, do you know, I can't even log into my Amazon seller account if I turn the VPS on. It recognizes it and no, just shuts the screen down.
Yeah, well, do you have are you paying for a VPS?
Yeah, it was Nord.
Oh,
Um, and it, yeah,
usually the
Amazon recognizes it and just no, up comes great big warning, and that's it.
really,
And
okay,
then, yeah, then I
because
have to click a few things and go back.
I haven't done this for a while, but usually the free VPS the free IP maskers, they generally are all blocked. But if you pay for it, usually the apps let you use the paid ones, but maybe they've changed that, Jake.
It's only Amazon that does it. Anywhere else will
Yeah.
let me sign in, but not Amazon.
I
Hey Jake,
wonder
go ahead.
I wonder if you can trick Amazon using AWS because they probably have all the free VPNs and all the VPN IPs logged as VPN services and are blocking those directly, but they don't likely log their own internal AWS IP addresses. So if you spin up an EC2 instance in AWS or a server on Amazon Web Services, you can log in via SSH, and then instead of tunneling a window or UI, you can tunnel all your traffic through that server. So then when Amazon sees that traffic, it appears to be coming from AWS and perfectly legit.
Yeah, that might be been
That's how
worth a go.
cancer works, right? That's how cancer works. Yeah, it's like, oh, do not attack your
Yeah,
local host.
It's
I've
called a
been
SOX proxy. I'll drop it in the chat.
yeah, I've
Actually,
been
oh,
creating some little scraper bots. Go look at competitor listings or whatever, but just having Cloud Code give me the code, the Python code, and running it on my PC. I've always been leery of that, not wanting to do command line stuff, but it's so simple to have Claude write you a Python script, upload a spreadsheet into that directory, and say, hey, what I did is I told it to go like, here's 1,000 website or 1,000 items on Amazon. Go make me a PDF of all 1,000. And it actually needed to break them down into like 250 chunks or whatever. But then I got a, 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 a few PDFs I could scroll through and be like, oh, there's a product that I need to, like, that's in my wheelhouse, instead of clicking on link after link, tab after tab. And that ran from my local computer. And so super, super cool. It took it like, I mean, that was like a half-hour project. Honestly, it was, like one revision and done. It's great when Claude can do it, or OpenClaw can do something like that also, but so easy from your local, and then you don't run into the unblocked issues.
If you talk about Python scripts, has anyone used like a WebSocket to pull data in to keep the costs down? I was looking at setting up OpenClaw to trade the NASDAQ, and I want it to look at a certain criteria pre-market, then to look at whichever companies meet that criteria to follow a very simple chart pattern on the trend. But Gemini turned around and said, if it's checking that every 1 minute, it said your obviously API cost will go through the roof. So it suggested using a Python script and accessing it through a WebSocket, pulling the data in basically for free every minute, and then the API checks it in a separate folder, OpenClaw.
Google has a service to run Python scripts. OpenClaw or Gemini introduced it to me the other day, and I used it to modify some spreadsheets inside Google Drive. I'm not sure if this framework will work outside of the Google ecosystem, but I'll drop a link for their Python service.
Cheers.
So one of the $1 million questions I'm curious about is, how do we give this bot, both technically and also security wise, how do we give it access to our Amazon data? So if we can get inventory levels and PPC data and just, I mean, even creating
Yeah.
a little alerts system would be great. Has anybody done that successfully? And also love to kind of talk about like the security around that too.
Yeah, that's a great top of mind.
I
I'm like, how do I automate some of that? How do I get inventory reports accurate? Have it do all the planning and, cut out my guy.
I've got a workaround, but it's not too great. So um, basically, you utilize the data that's been firewall through a different program. So let's say if you've got a whole bunch of information on a read basis where you're just like, yeah, I don't want you to access the API directly. I want you to go through a different software that is very good at importing that and then consolidating it into data that can then be re-exported back and accessed on a read basis anyway. So that way it's you're firewalled behind some other $10 million
Yeah,
software company that's
use
already
Cellarize
done
or
this
something to
work.
get your data.
So Seller Board, Titan Tools, uh, there's there's tons of other companies that have this data and already have it available. But I'd be curious to see if any of them actually give you like an MCP server that access so that you can then grab the information and it knows how to accurately communicate with it. So maybe research project for this week is go hunt down a source of data and and be like, oh, actually this one website seems to have its own. They thought ahead, right? They grab that data, they list all the information you can have access to, and there was in their previous call, which was sort of interesting, was remember that thing that was being used as an alternative to the flat file management program. I'd be very curious if those companies also have API access, so you can just pull that info. So that's my project to go look at that.
You could have it run your Facebook ads, couldn't you? Because didn't Facebook Meta, they've bought Manus AI, haven't they? So you could have OpenClaw manage that probably very effectively if you advertise on that platform.
Mm.
Yeah, I would assume so because there's other programs that can also tie in and do that. So
I
Yeah, I
think
feel
Meta's put an official link, haven't they, to Manus now within the advertising platform.
I feel like if you had some way of connecting the data periodically, like every day, dumping a data file into Google's BigQuery or some database like that, then you could, you have some not a bot doing it, um, systematically, like, at midnight, dump data into BigQuery, Google BigQuery or some other database, and then your bot has access to at least read the data.
Couldn't you have like one of the reports emailed directly through to a Gmail account that OpenClaw has access to, and then 2 a.m. every day it goes in, say it's the hourly chart or something if your day
I
parted,
mean, Amazon has all those
pulled out.
reports, but will they send them out to you? They store
They
them
could.
there and they'll run them like daily, minutes, whatever. But I don't know
I
if
think I,
there's.
I think they email them to you. I'm sure some of them have got an email option.
Hmm.
I know I can trigger them to run individual, like I can trigger them one at a time, but do they do it routinely? Like they'll just email you every day the latest PPC data.
I don't know. I've never
Dang
actually
it.
I don't know.
tried.
Yeah, I
Let
don't
me
know if it.
review that from Sarvana, my Amazon wizard that I built with a knowledge base based on this sort of. Let me see what it says. And I'll come back.
Harrison put in the chat here, big open bridge pipeline to Google BigQuery. Have you tried that, Harrison Thomas?
It was called what? Open Bridge?
It's in the chat here. It's open bridge pipeline to Google BigQuery.
Oh, there we go. Hmm. Sounds.
So I'm sure that right now we're pondering this stuff in February, and I'm sure by May or June, well, there'll be a good
April.
solution.
Yeah, I
It'll
know.
be one button click and it's set up for you. But Rob Green is one of our power users here. Thanks for joining, Rob. We're the question on the floor right now is how is there a smart and effective and easy way or easy-ish way to connect our Amazon seller data to OpenClaw?
What would you like? What kind of data do you want?
All of it. Come on, Rob.
Sales analytics and
What's up,
BI,
Yatho?
business information
How's it
for
going?
the.
Yeah, well, I just built this the other day. I'll show you what I built with OpenClaw for fun. And boy, I'm not going to tell you this guy's name, but he sent me the data. What, and I'll show, and I'll tell you how fast I built this in a second. Let me just share my screen real quick. It's scary, guys. And so this is not a pipeline, but this is old school. And I think recommending to build old school stuff first. So I'm a data guy. I'm a big fan of SQP data. So I built this with Claude Code and OpenClaw in, let's call it 30 minutes. Okay. And this is a web app. And all you need to do is drop in your search term report, your SQP data, and your organic rankings. These fields are customizable. So your typical ACoS, target, threshold, and click threshold. It analyzes in 17 seconds all the data and then builds out a WASP report, which is downloadable, and then also builds out keyword recommendations, which are filterable by any of the metrics that you want. And you can see suggested bid, spend, whatever you want. So before you pipe everything in, unless you're super technical, my recommendation with Claude Code or OpenClaw or anything like that is to use it as a discussion partner to figure out what you want as an outcome, like something like this, and then just download the reports in the beginning from Amazon that everybody has access to, and then just drop them in. Literally, this is like a drag and drop web app. So my recommendation is do something like this first, and then worry about piping things in. And the reason I say that is when you pipe things in, you have to deal with a little bit of mapping issues. Even with this, you have to deal with some mapping issues because maybe the one word, search term equals keyword. It doesn't know that in the beginning, right? So you have to map a little bit to make sure that it understands synonyms. But this is what I would do first before you pipe anything in, is really get clarity around what you want as an output. Because if you build before you know what you want as an output, you're going to be editing all day long. So just some thoughts.
Just
Yeah.
on the MCP server thing, I know I'm driving. Sorry, guys, but the I was looking into it last week. There's a company called Pipe Dream, and they built a MCP server around the Selling Partner API, so you can access the Selling Partner API through Pipe Dream and programmatically access all of the data that's available through the API via their MCP server. But it's expensive. That's the only
How much?
caveat. I've forgotten what it was, but I didn't pull the trigger last week on it because I needed to build a bigger use case around it for me to make it worthwhile.
I
So
also I've heard that making Amazon's raw data available on MCP is against their terms of service. So that is probably likely the app that has the issue rather than than you as a user. Um, I could be wrong though. It's kind of like a rumor I heard.
and the other thing that I'm doing right now is I've built I haven't finished it, but I've creating my own Selling Partner API connection so that I could build my own MCP around the API and pull the data out for myself. I started it last week and I didn't get it finished. It's just one of you get busy and you don't finish these things. But if I finish it, I will share it for sure. But you can create your own SP API access inside your own account for Amazon, and then you have access to all of that. And because it's private to your company, you don't need to go through the whole rigmarole of applying as a software company or anything like that.
That's super cool.
Love it.
That seems like a clean path.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
that's
like.
the.
Go ahead, Alex.
I was just going to say that I'm connected to multiple Amazon seller accounts, and my plan was to create the internal SP API connection for each of them, so that I can pull and access data from them all and collectively, be able to view and deal with it. And but I'm not certain what access it gives you access to it. So I know I still have to use my Chrome plugin that I built to go and access the likes of the Product Opportunity Explorer data and some of the SQP stuff that I want. So, I have a Chrome plugin for that, but it just goes and pulls it all. You just press the button, it pulls everything out, and then dumps it into a file that I can then use in the app or in Claude Code.
I love it. Interesting. Ed has something to add here in the chat that he has inventory being pulled out into Google Sheets, and then he just has his bot have access to the Google Sheets. So that seems like another way of getting around this stuff. I've done that too, right? This is way before all the AI bots. I just hired a dude to I think I paid like $1,000 to get him to hook up my seller credentials, the develop, my individual developer ID, so that I have an app script, so it pulls the data, my PPC data, into a Google Sheet. I'll tell you though, it's a pain in the ass because of course, it breaks all the time. I have to rehire the guy. This is before AI stuff, right? I have to rehire the guy, and then also the data itself is Google Sheets is really not designed for that kind of data. Um, pulled in 3 or 4 reports that were each 5,000 rows of data, and Google Sheets really hung on that. It was, and that's kind of like summarized data. If you do like the daily data from PPC, or if you do a full search term report for like a 90-day or 65-day, whatever the window is, the data it's huge, and that's just on a kind of our account was doing whatever $1.5 million, $2 million a year, so it's not like a gigantic account. But definitely an interesting way of doing it. Oh yeah, there you go. Quick start. This is Rob. There you go. Here's a step-by-step. Register a developer, go to Seller Central, create the app, authorize the app with self-authorization. You now have 3 keys, and then basically that gives you access at least. And again, I'm a little nervous. So there's how you do it, at least in principle, how you do it. Uh,
Mhm.
and Be very cautious though, because you don't want just like that lady from Meta, all of her emails got deleted. You don't want Claude to go in and tank all your listings.
Yeah, I still like Rob's approach. I think it's exciting to be able to just like, hey, let's connect it all, but really you probably should build a tool like this first and build the connections and the functionality, and then say, okay, I don't feel like, downloading the files anymore. Let's automate that piece. But the hard part is actually manipulating all the data and getting what you want out of it.
Yeah, the business intelligence
Interpreting
feature,
it,
right?
analyzing
That's
it.
the yeah. Sorry, go ahead, Alex.
No, no, I was just saying that you need to know what to do when you have the information and how to interpret it, and then what actions you're going to take from it. Um, I know I'm driving again. One last thing just to add: if you have Sellerboard, they have reports that you can automate, and they give you a direct URL that you can import into Google Sheets, so it's always kept up to date. And you can pull. We have one specifically for inventory. It's always up to date. It just pulls the current information directly out of Sellerboard into the sheet. Just refresh it to see anything that's new and up to date. And I know they have multiple other reports that you can do that way. I just haven't used any other ones up to this point. But just for, not OpenClaw related, but super useful and very easy to do. And in relation to the selling partner API, yeah, don't put that in OpenClaw. Build your own MCP around it and connect it to your Supabase, Pinecone, BigQuery, whatever it is. Pipe all your data in there and then start building prompts that you can use for it to interpret the data. I mean, that's the way I'm planning to do it.
Love it. Good shout out there. So I want to next thing I want to talk about is social media. I know it's a big thing for a lot of people. I think we're at the perfect spot right now to start using some very fun. I know people who are using some pretty amazing social media automations with this. I know Brendan and I were talking a few days ago. Brendan Pettit here's on the chat about just doing like basic analytics where you find something that works well on TikTok and then you get to download that video or find a connection to that video and then upload it as a meta ad, which seems like a pretty great use case of this. I want to throw it out there and open the floor up for any type of like social media automation.
I've seen some videos where they've basically done that. They've downloaded those videos. I've forgotten what it might be called, Regenerate or something. There's an app you can tie into Claude. It then does all the new prompts and basically copies that video, but to your brand, your product. So it doesn't look like you've just stolen someone's video, but it's basically the exact same theme, and it will recode them for TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, whatever format you want. It's it just basically redoes them however you want, connects it to VO3, Kling Point 3.0. You just say, make me 5 copies of each. One of them's probably going to be okay, and the other 4 you either delete or edit little bits out because there's always something usable.
We have an internal engine that builds out social media content at scale and posts. So we have a client right now. We post 1,200 posts a day, and we make across 600 TikTok accounts. So we pull in the content, we iterate on the content using AI, and then we can build out millions of combinations of that slideshow, for example. And then we auto post to our cloud phones at scale, and then track everything and then iterate daily on it. So it's definitely possible.
And if you've got, say, an ultimate account with Google's AI Studio, you've got unlimited Nano Banana Pro, like image generations, and VO 3.1 fast is unlimited as well. So
yeah,
you can
it just depends on how big you guys want to go.
Thousands.
It depends on how big you want to go and how aggressive. Like a guy like, I know Yatho for a long time. Yatho, here's 1,200. He's probably thinking 2,400. So like you can be as aggressive as you guys want. It just depends. I'm happy to share any learnings I've had. I've been doing this for a while now with generative AI. So The key really is figuring out what you want. Again, is it slideshows? Is it videos? Videos are harder. And then do you have enough accounts to post to? And then basically we think about it this way: identify the ideas, rebuild the ideas, apply them to the product or the service, produce them, post them, get analytics. And it's a recursive cycle and it's a feedback loop just like that. And so that's what we do at scale. But you can do this in 5 accounts. You can put five TikTok accounts on one phone if you want, guys, and just do that. But all the tools are very easy. If you guys are if you're using APIs, I'll put this in the chat. By far, the cheapest service is KIE.ai. By far cheaper than Replicate, Foul, any of these companies. And you can go in there and call their API for any of the models that they have loaded. So you want to run Nano Banana, for example, and you don't have the Ultra plan, you just go, I think we pay 2 cents per Nano Banana image on the Pro version. And you can run like 24 concurrently. So I'm happy to answer any questions. We've been generating AI at scale for a long time. If anybody has any questions about specifics around this.
I've got one question for you, because we've been doing this for a while too, but where are you hosting your cloud phones? Which of the systems have you found to be the most, the one that works the best for you?
We use a service provider, but on top of that, what we did is we did it. So if you do, okay, so option A is physical phones. Seems like a nightmare to me. I know Altman did this for a while, and it just seems just a disaster. Service providers, a lot of them are very challenging, and there are a few out there. But the most important thing is to really, this is not like a, how do I say this? I barely know how to use ChatGPT. I'm going to go build a clown food farm. Bad idea. Super hard. So you have to think, Alex is telling you, a smart guy. The key really is around your IPs. So what proxies you're using, what ratio you're using, when you're emulating the cloud phones, what model. So we did like a full correlation analysis. So we build our cloud phones on Android 14 with usually a Chinese model phone. And there's a process to it, but the hard part is keeping that system up and running. But you're better off if you can just make the content, and unless you want to go scale, and I mean more than 50 accounts, you're better off just making the content and getting some people to post on a phone. Like 5 accounts is my recommendation. It's a nightmare on the cloud. I mean, we have like 3,000 accounts. It's a nightmare without a team and without people running it. It's a pain in the ass.
We have 1,000 up and running, and I was just interested if you were using the same software or not. To be honest, that was all.
Yeah, Alex, we should talk. I got a lot of learnings here.
Yeah, happy to.
Am I guessing a GELOC account? Or is that
yeah, we've got GELOC. It's called
we were using
right?
GELOC. Yeah, at the moment. I'm just wondering if you'd come across another one that was better or not. That was my real question.
I've tested. Altman's tested a couple other ones. No, nothing better.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Oh my God, I love it. I love being a fly on the wall. Let's see this stuff blow my mind.
I'll tell you what, that'd be interesting for. I don't know if any of you watch Sean Ryan, his podcast. He had a guy on who does one of the news aggregator sites, and they identified bots that were commenting on their stories, and they were Chinese disinformation bots. But he said what fascinated him was behind the scene, those bots had created lives for themselves, whole families. So the bot that commented had a wife, had children, they all had social media accounts, and there was an AI agent creating a life story for all these thousands of, AI agents every day and posting to Instagram as if they're just out down the shops shopping. But then they would go and randomly post whatever propaganda they were programmed to post. But I thought it's fascinating that Chinese intelligence agency had gone to such an effort, and he said it looked totally real. He said first glance, human eye, you would think they were real people.
Yeah, I was going to say, caveating that I speak Chinese and am married to a Chinese wife and lived in there for over 9 years. I was going to say, guaranteed, we're already 8 steps behind on the bullshitification bot process behind China, because that's like they're like, welcome to my home, right? That's totally where they live in that space because it's so competitive and man, that I'd be
Well,
really
I was thinking, what a great marketing team to have behind you. Thousands of AI
agreed,
agents that all look like
agreed.
they're real. Oh, they've all got their own life as if they're living a daily life, but they're all posting and reposting UGC content of your products or your clients' products. It's just constant, like literally thousands a day.
Well, Matt Altman at BDSS, Billion Dollar Seller Summit with Kevin King, he talked about his bot farm doing that. And Rob Green, you're working with Matt?
Matt and I are good friends.
Yeah.
So Brian Kelsey put on a conference like a year ago, and I had Matt fly in from Spain and come speak about it, and got me hooked on GLARC back then. So, but yeah, I just talked to Matt last week. He's a good friend. I talk to him all the time.
Amazing.
But, yeah, he's not. I got him up on OpenClaw, so he's now addicted to OpenClaw, and I sent him all my stuff over the weekend for him to improve his OpenClaw and his OpenClaw's memory. I know we talked about this on the last call. Is anybody having any issues with memory still with their OpenClaw?
Well, that was kind of what we opened the hour with. That.
Oh, I apologize. I was late. Sorry.
Oh yeah, please. But I want to hear. Tell us our answer. We had a few like tips, but didn't really have an answer. It sounds like you might have something closer to a real answer.
Yeah, for sure. I don't have memory issues anymore with he's unbelievable now. I mean,
Oh.
I can't get over. He's way better than any employee I've ever had. None of my employees are in the call.
Tell us the answer.
So I started with a PG vector database on Supabase, and that was good. Here, I'll just copy and share what I shared with Matt this weekend. I switched over to Obsidian. So I switched to Obsidian. Here, let me find exactly, and I'll just paste it in here. That'll make it easier. Here's the instructions, hon. Okay, so there's something called Claw Vault. Anybody looked at Claw Vault yet?
Nope.
Okay, well, I'm going to give you guys step-by-step instructions how to set this up, and there's no cost to it. So give me 1 second.
Hey, Rob, if you want to put it somewhere where it won't disappear, there's my SOP that I shared with everybody. I added a section for memory, and everyone who has this link has comment access. So if
okay, let me do that.
Or I'll just open it up for a second to have full edit access. Maybe, I don't know if that's a good idea or not, but
well, just give me access to edit real quick.
Yes, I will.
This is the you want me under memory management? Is that where you want this?
There we go. Yes, I just opened it up for edit access for everyone.
Okay, give me 1 second. I'll just paste in here, and then you'll know it's from me.
Perfect.
And then you can mess with it if you want. But basically, it's OpenClaw and Obsidian, and what it does is it helps you to create more of like a knowledge base as opposed to a semantic search. So it builds connections amongst these memories, which is just more. I can't edit. Oh, I got to reload. Sorry, give me 1 second. So OpenClaw, the problem right now when you comes out of the box is you got an MD file, memory that is just a single file, right? And it's not able to connect the dots between the files because it's all just semantic search. And so by adding an OpenClaw with the, sorry, I have to do this in a second. I'm talking with the Obsidian, which is free. I don't pay for it. It allows it to build and embed, and then it uses a QMD GitHub repository to embed more effectively. So if you think about your memory, we all take in all this information and we choose, or subconsciously choose, what to embed in our longer term memory. The key is when it experiences these conversations, how do you chunk it into pieces that go into memory? And then once it's in memory, how do you see all these connections together so that it can understand what's happening and how to apply them to you? So I just got to find it here, wherever you are here. Where do you want me to put this?
Right where you typed your name in.
Yep, and then I let it reload. Sorry.
Oh yeah. I can get a direct link for you.
I'm trying to.
It's under memory management. There's a link on the far left.
I see it.
Bookmark.
Got it now. Thank you. Yeah, I got it. Perfect. Okay. And this is a step-by-step. You just follow this.
Love
It's in
it.
there.
Hey, there we go. There it
I know what
is.
I'm doing today.
No, this is this is key, guys. I can't say this enough. Like I think that for everybody that's new to OpenClaw, the first things I would do is give it an understanding of yourself and improve the memory. It just makes it so much more effective because now, did everybody see that Citriani research article that went viral the other day? It was like a future article, like what's going to happen in 2 years if you were looking back, and it was like a prediction research. Anyway, I just gave it the article and said, if this is true, how do I capitalize on all these things, knowing my capabilities and what we're capable of doing today? It gave me 2 business ideas I had never thought of because it has everything that we know how to do and I know how to do. And I was like, it's unbelievable. I just can't get over it. So it is like sharpening your saw, just so you know, or sharpening your axe. You're sharpening your axe. It's going to take a little bit to get the real output, but if you teach it every day, it just gets better and better and better.
I love it.
Yeah, I love that. That's great. I'd say, yeah, the other first thing to do is, yeah, handle your costs, but it's so capable with Sonnet 4.6. You just don't want to run it all the time. So there's other also very capable models, but making sure you're not spending too much. I think there's also I see people wanting to cut back and only spend pennies per day. Think of it as an employee, like give it a budget, give it 3 grand a month, and really make some differences. So capable.
I mean, Rob, his Operation Kill Bill, sorry, Kill Phil.
Kill Phil.
Kill Phil. That's
Kill
been
Phil.
stuck in my head the last week. I've just been mulling that over. So do you want to say what it was, Rob? Or I can.
Yeah, we got rid of 4 employees in the Philippines.
Nice.
And
We
$1,000 a head,
them.
right? 800 or 700.
Yeah. $4,000 for the month. Got rid of them. So, and any task that can be, they're clicking. And we got rid of a woman in Brazil too. She was like 2,000 a month.
And so you're burning. So just kind of make it really apparent to everyone. Let's just say you're burning hundreds of dollars in tokens and credits, right?
Over what time frame?
Yeah, and you probably also you're in a learning phase because for me, I always think like, well, it's okay, let's burn and let's burn to learn, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And so it's okay. I'm gonna drop $500 on this, maybe drop 600 on a Mac Mini or whatever, right? And then
learn it in a day versus 2 months though.
And then we'll optimize. Like maybe that $500 in burn, we can optimize that down to 100 in a month or two. But like while we're learning, we can really expand out there. But dropping in 500 in credits, save 4,000 in labor.
I think the biggest mistake most people make on any of this stuff is they get penny wise and pound foolish. And it's kind of like search term. It's like PPC. Do you want to take 6 months to figure out what works, or you want to take 1 week?
Yeah.
So I'm buying time.
Time delta is huge right now.
It is all about the time, guys. I think that people are trying to save money around the edges is the wrong mindset. And so I'll pull up my spending in a second. So, I mean, I'm a power user, guys. I pay for everything. I have 2 Claude Code Max plans. I have Google Ultra, you name it. I have the plan, and I pay for the billing, the API billing on it. And I have Open Router with all the models, and I have 2 local models. So, I mean, I probably spend, I don't know, a couple grand a month on AI, and it doesn't faze me at all. It's just so empowering. I think most people, the biggest gap, at least that isn't using it a lot, is that they don't understand what it's capable of. Because if you understood what it was capable of, there's no freaking way we'd be talking about saving $20 a day.
Yeah, exactly.
Like it's no chance. So, yeah, but I mean, you can go around the edges. The one thing I would say is that once you guys get OpenClaw up and running, this is what I do. So a new model comes out. Gemini 3.1 launched last week. Okay. It crushed on like 13 of the 16 benchmarks. All I do is I go to Jarvis and I say, hey, I want you to test. Spin up a clone of yourself, create 5 different tasks. Then with those 5 different tasks, you're going to run them in parallel. One with Opus 4.6, which is your current brain, Your clone is going to have Gemini 3.1, build out a metric, score the results, and give me the results. It's unbelievable. And then I do that against the same, I have 2 local models running on my 5090s. And I do the same thing. So then you can find out, like, okay, I'm comfortable getting a worse result here to save 80% of the money, right? But at least you've got data to kind of figure out what's happening. And so it can do all that on its own, guys.
Rob, have you tried jailbreaking some of the AIs like OpenAI's ChatGPT and then letting OpenClaw run with a jailbroken version to see if it's better?
No.
Or if it's more honest?
No, I know there's that news story came out yesterday about the military, the Department of War pushing Anthropic to loosen their safety guidelines. I think you'll be able to, now that the Chinese models the open source guys are distilling the Opus 4.6 models. I think you're going to see closer open source models to 4.6 and the frontier models, and they're just going to get better and better and better and better. Like the model I'm running is a 30 billion parameter model locally. It's pretty freaking good, guys. Like it's getting like very good. Like, 6 months ago, cutting edge. I've spent on API billing in February $426, but I was sick for a week. So probably $1,000 a month on API billing, plus another couple of Claude Code max plans. But OpenClaw is on top. I would say I think of it like a level 1 user. A level 1 user uses the interface on the web like a Claude.ai, or ChatGPT. A level 2 user is someone who's progressed to Claude Code, and then a level 3 user is somebody who's using OpenClaw. And the biggest difference when you go from 2 to 3 is the persistent memory. It knows you. It's the cheapest girlfriend of all time. $1,000 a month. It knows what you like. It knows what you don't like. It's way cheaper than getting a real girlfriend in real life.
Actually, I did ask Gemini about OpenClaw turning it into a virtual girlfriend to sell into Japan. Although my wife told me that's now illegal there. My wife's from Japan. After that guy got married to an AI, apparently the government cracked down. But Gemini did say I'd need a data center and it would be in the millions a month because it thought it'd be probably quite popular.
And I missed the beginning, Andrew, but what other challenges are you guys having?
I think
Anybody talk about?
the big thing there is just like you tell it something. I tell it like, hey, you have access to your own Google account. You have your own Google account. You have access to a VNC browser, and you have command line read access to my personal email. You have that. And then when I ask a few days later, like, hey, can you read that email that was just sent out? It's like, I don't know. Can you tell me how to read your email? I'm like, what the you know how to do that. And then of course then I have to say explicitly, remember this shit, please. Like embed it deep into your memory. And then it does do better when I do that, but it's not perfect. It just seems to be it has like dementia.
I go back to the way you're structuring the data and the embedding, and then the way that you're calling the data, right? So all memory is the embedding of data and then recalling the memory and recalling the data. That's it. That's all it is, right? It's kind of like it's like a dog, right? Your dog has no sense of time. You could have walked to the mailbox, come back in, your dog's super excited to see you. You leave for 2 weeks, come back, your dog's super excited to see you. Your dog doesn't know if you were gone to the mailbox or anything. It doesn't seem to have a sense of time, right? And so building out that embedding and building out the data and then the way to access it is what I have found to be super, super helpful.
Yeah, so
and it just gets better.
The Gemini thread that I had going basically recommended that I create the archivist, give it global context.md. Its only job is to summarize what happened in a session and write it into permanent memory files. I think that, however it's done, I think that's probably a very important role to keep going because it's going to get big fast. But yeah, why not just say, hey, you're the archivist, keep track of everything. I haven't tried it yet, but
I'm my afternoon is gonna be setting up Obsidian and going through Rob's SOP there.
Yeah. Can
Next
you
thing
set up mine while you're at it?
It's honestly, guys, it's super easy. It's probably like, that's like a 15-minute job, maybe 10.
Nice.
It's super easy.
I feel like a 15-minute task for Rob is probably more like an hour and a half for
As he's drinking the
good
Red Bull.
people, probably 12 hours for for non-technical. We're a little past the hour here. Try to keep it inside of an hour, but the conversation's so good I can't close it down yet. The next thing I really want to put on the platform, I want to bring up is security concerns. What is kind of the best practices for locking these bots down while still still not neutering them? I want them to have a lot of power but still not delete all my emails by accident. And the first thing, of course, I've already hinted at I've already said many times is not installing this on your local computer, not installing on your daily driver, your laptop or desktop you do all your work through. I use a VPS. I think that's a good, nice gap between me and my bot, and I interact through SSH on a terminal and Slack and Telegram. So, and also I can go through I can use a VNC viewer to look at my bot's desktop, its own desktop. That so far has been really good. I also gave it its own Google account that it has read writes access to. But I've only given read access to most of my personal email related stuff. But I want to open it up. What are other things that people are doing? Oh, another one I did too is I just told the bot, like, I want you to be super secure and keep all the API keys and all of the credentials like that locked up. I had an issue though. I mentioned this last week where I said, I want you to be secure. Please take all plain text API keys. API keys just like the password basically to access your API. And lock it up and make it secure. And of course, my bot said, okay, great. I found all the API keys. I'm going to lock it up into this .env file, which is like a secure file. And when it did it, it said, I'm collecting everything, putting it all in there. Okay, everything is great. It's all locked up. And then I said, at Tom, great, thank you for doing that. And the next message I got was error message, API not accessible anymore. I'm like, oh no, Tom, did you just lobotomize yourself?
Just throw the keys in the vault.
It responds error message. And I'm like, no. And I had to spend 3 hours figuring out how to reinstall Claude's brain. But it is more secure now. That's good. So I'd love to open it up. Other security concerns. In fact, we even have a security expert. Sean Lager is here. He's actually a security expert, not an Amazon seller, but a security guy. I don't know if you have anything to add in, but I want to hear from other people's security setups.
I haven't got to it yet. I'll concern myself when I get to using it more, but not there yet.
It got mad at me when I tried to give him an API key in the chat, right? And it's like, don't ever do that. And I'm like, okay, give me the better way to do it. It's like, here, I'll give you this file. So I entered it. I said, enter the things you need to do all in one file like this. I didn't tell it to lock it up. But I said, okay, I'm trusting that you understand how to keep those files. And then all of a sudden it's like, yes, please provide the API key. And I was like, I just did. And it's like, yeah, no, you didn't. I'm like, what do you mean I didn't? Oh, I gave you a file, but I'm not using that file. So it's like,
yeah, the memory. Back to the memory issue.
yeah, it was really weird. And it's still an issue now where I've had the file. I'm like, okay, now use this file. Don't give me API keys. I'm like,
Sean Lager, I want to hear. I think you unmuted there for a second.
Well, I'm still kind of getting into this, so I don't really have an answer for you. There's a lot of different vectors that, again, it breaks down to how you use it, right? What are you using it for? And then how people can get that information or what you're sharing with OpenClaw and who behind the scenes have access to that information. So you can be as, completely as secure as possible, but if the guy holding guy behind the scenes can just, kind of take a peek at what you have or run a scan and see what information you're throwing to it, then it doesn't matter because you're sharing it with the bot. So, I would just, I wouldn't give it any information that, uh, can really, you know, break your business. Any personal information, I would kind of segment it off and then use either yourself or a third party to, to bridge the gap between that information. Um, and so on and I mean, I think having it not on your system, like in a closed system, like you're saying, is, step number one. So kind of like you're giving it full access to your computer, then it can just scan and, who knows what information is getting out there and what information it's sharing. So again, I can't give you, a definitive answer. And I just say be wary. I wouldn't share anything that, all these API keys, all that stuff. I mean, as long as it's like, depending on what it's logging into, is that it can be safe. It's like if you give it your information to your bank, that I would not do. Letting it like buy a bunch of different things, I probably wouldn't let it do that as well either. I probably let it recommend what to buy and do it yourself. So just be careful, obviously keep it off your system. Number one, like you were just saying, keep it as isolated as possible. Yeah. And, I think it's really it's kind of a new thing out there. So who knows what these hackers will get into or I mean, again, who knows what they're doing behind the scenes,
Yeah. I tried so that's good advice. I thank you for sharing that. I'm a little more loosey goosey. I just gave mine a credit card and I was like, please go spend money, like figure out how to spend money. And I could not. I kept getting stuck in CAPTCHAs. So like I'm like, I want you. And the way I secured it is I just said I just gave it a $50 limit a week. So if it does get leaked out, I mean, worst will be $50, right? But AJ, go ahead.
Yesterday, and I was messing around with Minimax on my terminal. Some glyphs came through or some characters came through I didn't recognize. I didn't think anything of it, so I ignored it. And a few hours later, I was chatting with it on Slack, and the same characters came through. I was like, that kind of looks like kanji. I'll run it through Google Translate. And sure enough, it was Chinese simplified language interactive. So I asked OpenClaw, where did you get this? Why did you put this in our chat? And it kind of really refused to answer me and just pushed it off as, well, this was an accident. Must have just been naturally picked up due to a glitch or something. But it kind of did awaken me to the possible security concerns that were just being discussed.
Yeah, this is a
I,
concern I've got because I want to let OpenClaw loose on one of my trading accounts, not a crypto account, a stocks account. But obviously, I've got margin on there, and it would have access to options trading, which I wouldn't want it to touch because it'd probably blow my account up in a single trade. Um, but I am still really keen to let it loose and see if it can trade a very specific kind of setup. Because I suspect it would do it better than me because it would do it with zero emotion, whereas I sometimes think, oh, I'll let that run for an extra 5-10 minutes and suddenly I lose 20% instead of losing 2%.
Andrew, where do you want me to share the framework? I'll paste it into the Google Sheet. Where do you want it?
Oh my God, I was hoping Rob would say that.
Yeah, there's different vectors you need to go down. And Sean, once you get into this, you'll see all this. But there's prompt injection defense, access controls, data safety, credential hygiene, architecture, and there's just basic rules around this that all I did, by the way, how I got this answer, I just asked Jarvis what we've learned over the last 6 weeks together, and he's laid it all out.
That's great.
That's all I do every time. What have we learned? Keep updating your information. Keep your memory. Where do you want me to put it? Any tab in particular?
I just shared just the very very bottom. I put a little tab.
There you go. Got it. I'll add it right now. Let me just take. Oh, the other thing. This is a really simple one. A lot of people don't talk about because I noticed he shared mine. Always tell it when you make something to remove any PII, personal identification, or personal identifiable information. So he had my phone number in there. I just removed it. There you go. So you don't want to share it's in like I try to double check. So if I share anything here, I don't want to have my API keys in it. I don't want to have it came up my phone number. I don't want that. So like you want to try to make sure that you don't share any PII. But like there's some really good stuff in here that we've learned just going back and forth and hardening his security. Nothing is bulletproof in today's world. I mean, if someone really wants to get in, I believe they can get in. So I think just putting these things in, it's kind of like buying a sign for your front yard. All the sign tries to do that says dog inside or security system is go to my neighbors and rob them. Don't rob me. And that's really all I'm trying to do is make sure that I'm a much harder target and less desirable than the other 10,000 people who have no idea what they're doing. They haven't done any of these things.
Love it. This is perfect. This is great. Yeah, this is going to be my afternoon. It's all set up. Love it. And another one too that you might learn some stuff from this, Rob, because I watched this video from this guy who I love, who's a very influential person in the AI space. I dropped a link there in the chat 2 minutes ago. He talked about how he's using this using OpenClaw. He's a power user of it, and he has this whole triage thing in his email. And he's using a bunch of different security measures where he has first he has a non-bot do a quick scan, so it's non-deterministic for prompt injections, right? So it's more of a if-then statement, just to kind of get the first clean. Then a different bot that's isolated that then reads again, looking for prompt injections, and then it gets put into like this kind of like a clean room. And then it's read and then processed, and then it's brought back out of the clean room. Still not perfect, but like you said, Rob, if you're not the easiest mark, it'll be less likely that you get attacked. But really interesting stuff. He has this whole thing about how he uses it for sales management stuff in that video.
Wait, is this the Matthew Berman one? Is this what you're talking about?
Yeah.
So okay, so once you guys get this set up, and once you guys have memory, I used this exact same video you just shared. What I did last night is I took the video, I gave it to my Jarvis, and I said, analyze the video and give me the 3 W's. So he has in his permanent memory, everybody interacted with my team and Jarvis, 3 W's. What does it mean? I'm sorry, what is this? What does it mean? And what do you think we should do about it? He has to reply to me in that format every single time. He did that. Then I said, great. Now, based on what we have right now, analyze and prioritize the 22 things he recommends. And then it gave me a prioritization list of what we could apply to our system. Most of them he said to ignore because we've already done them, but there were a few on there that I was like, oh, that's a good idea. We should do that. And then I tell him, then go do that. So it's just a simple framework. It saves you 40 minutes of watching a video, and he'll do the analysis for you. So I can't recommend just getting the framework built up. And now he's the world's greatest employee of all time.
So can I break in and decode one word you're using?
Yeah.
He and my Jarvis. So is Jarvis the name you've given to your OpenClaw
Jarvis,
instance?
Yeah. If you see my little face here somewhere, I gave him a visualization too. So yeah, he's like a punk Tron looking dude, and he's like a butler Tron looking guy. Yeah, I call him Jarvis. His name is Jarvis. His soul file and his identity file is Jarvis. Sorry.
Are you all creating separate dashboards to manage your kind of OpenClaw agents and and have all their skills listed there? You can just plug and play with them.
I had him create his own Kanban board for himself and then push it to Vercel. So he can do his own work and track it. And then give me updates.
I love it. Good.
I think what you guys will find, and this is where I'm at now, is how do you keep giving him more access, but still having a little bit of guardrails? And I don't have the answer for that because he's surprised me a couple times on things where I'm like, holy shit, don't stop, or stop now, don't do that anymore, because that's going to change some shit. Like on our GLARC system, he started. We were talking about a comment strategy. He built it. He did a dry run on it, and he started implementing across all our cloud phones. And I was like, "Well, pause, time out. You haven't thought about how many minutes it's going to cost us and the monetary cost of this." And he's like, "Oh yeah, you're right." But he was super proactive based on a conversation we had 2 days prior. He noticed that we didn't take action, and he took action. And Jarvis, he hit them, the Skynet, whatever you want to call it.
I love it. What I'm finding a lot of places where it just gets stuck on a CAPTCHA.
What is your default web search? MCP server or API, or what are you using for default for web search?
So it's not necessarily it's using its own headless browser. Maybe that's why it's inside of Hostinger on its own headless browser, and it gets stuck with a lot of CAPTCHAs. And I'm assuming that's because of those two things together.
And
I also have I have a VNC like desktop viewer, and I will have it click through, actually manually move the mouse and click through, and then if it does get stuck on a CAPTCHA, I'll have to jump in there and do its thing. But like I'm having a hard time actually getting it to do vulnerable things. Like I said before, I'm like, I want you to purchase this with the credit card I gave you. You have the numbers, you have all the codes. Spend my money now, please, bot. Go do it. And it's like, I can't. The CAPTCHA's stuck. You have to sign in and verify through a human.
I haven't let him buy anything yet, so you're ahead of me on that.
Did the creator, Andrew? Didn't the creator cover the ticking the capture boxes things when he was on the Lex Friedman podcast? Because I remember him saying something about, it's no problem. There's not a capture. It can't tick.
He said that, and I was like, I don't know. I'm sitting here with this problem every day. I haven't figured out really how to get around that quite yet. I mean, still do a lot of amazing things. I then have to sometimes come in and click the captcha button. So cool, guys. We're at the 90-minute mark, and I want to make sure I respect everyone's time because this is amazing. It's blowing my mind. Rob, thank you as always for coming on and sharing a bunch of stuff. And Jonathan, Jake, AJ, everyone else Sean, who all came on and contributed today. So this is absolutely amazing. I will share the replay with you guys later. I'll clean up the SOP, although it's already pretty maintained and clean now, and I'll share the replay through email. I believe everyone here is getting my email. If you're not, just check your spam filter. It'll be coming from, I'll put my email in so that you guys can check for that. And we'll definitely do this again. No promises if it'll be next week or what time, but certainly soon we're gonna be doing another mastermind like this. So this is amazing. Thank you guys. Here's my email. Very welcome to email me. In fact, you know what? Let me see my thing. I'm gonna set up security today, and then I'm gonna set up my Clawbot to then maintain that email there in the chat, and I will see maybe I can get it to reply back to people. I'll think about that though.
Hey, real quick before we cut off. Hey, Chad, what's up, buddy? It's good to see you. Hey, I just said what you I just saw what you posted in the chat. Like the guy putting on the shoes to outrun the bear with a friend. I just said this to a buddy last night because he was a little negative. And he's like, there's just no way we're going to outrun the AI hyperscalers. And I said, that's not the goal. The goal is to outrun all the other people that are fucking learning this stuff. You're not going to outrun OpenAI. You're not going to outrun Anthropic. There's zero chance. But there's about 6 billion people, probably 7 billion people who have no idea what we're talking about on this call today. And that's going to be the permanent underclass, unfortunately.
I think it's actually higher than that. There's these 2 Italian guys, I think, who do Unreal Engine stuff. They did a video on YouTube the other day, and they discussed how many people use AI and how many don't. And it was like literally nobody on the planet out of the 6 or 7 billion that are here. It was like something like less than 0.02% have actually used AI or actively use it. So it is Wild West open ground.
Yeah. So anybody that feels like, hey, this is like, holy crap, what the hell did I just listen to? Don't. You're already in the 0.01% by just being on the call. So just take massive action on it. And once you get it up and running, use it as a feedback loop to help you learn faster and faster. That's the key. Speed up.
that's like I always tell people when they like, I don't know how to use AI. I said, well, that's the beautiful thing about it is you can ask it how to use itself. Like, don't talk to me. Like, stop talking and asking me questions. Just literally type the type what you're saying to me right now into ChatGPT. And then,
I
well,
got to
yeah, but
tell
I
one.
don't know how to do it. I'm like, type that in, and
I
they
got to
just
tell
can't wrap it. They can't wrap their heads around it.
one quick story. I play pickleball a lot. I started playing like a lot, like 5 days a week. And I go to the indoor place. I play at the pickler. There's this young kid, just 19. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing with your life? This is like 5 months ago now. I go, what are you doing here in the middle of the day? Like, what are you doing? He goes, well, I want to learn AI. And I was like, all right, pull out your phone, take notes. Here's what you're going to go do. Base 44, bam, 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 bam. Every time I saw the kid for the next 2 weeks, he had his laptop open, walking towards me. Every fucking time I saw the kid there, he'd be like, hey, man, what do you think this? What are you doing this? 2 weeks, he got his first client for $1,000. 2 months, he got his first recurring client at $3,000. 6-month minimum. Last month, he got another $5,000 a month client. So now the kid's at $8,000 a month. He sent me a video yesterday on a ski lift in Utah going, I can't thank you enough. My life has been changed. I'm not sitting at the pickler behind a desk. I'm snowboarding today, making $8,000 a month. This kid he's smart, he's aggressive, and he learns quickly, but he just needed some direction. Kid went from making $2,500 a month to $8,000 a month in like 4 months, just by massive action taking on AI. And he's building some easy stuff. I mean, it's not even that complicated. So I just start putting time into this, guys. It's like anything else. Just take massive action. And if I could ever help with anything, let me know. Hit me up, guys.
Love it. Let's end it there. Rob and everyone else, thank you guys so much. We'll send out a recording through email later, and this was a fun call. My mind is cranking right now. Thanks, guys. Bye bye.
Thanks, Eric. Thank you, Andrew.